What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to take a look at this all new 2023 BMW X1. Big shout out and thank you to Hendrick BMW Northlake for providing this new crossover for today's video. Definitely check them out, link down in the description below. And the model that we're looking at today is an xDrive 28i finished off in mineral white metallic and has an MSRP at $40,200. Underneath the hood of this 2023 BMW X1, you're going to find a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder turbocharged engine that's paired to a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. The power is sent through the xDrive all-wheel drive system. The X1 pumps out 241 horsepower with 295 pound-feet of torque. It runs on a 14.3 gallon fuel tank, and you're looking at 25 miles per gallon in the city with 34 out on the highway. Then overall curb weight is 3,700 pounds. Overall length is 177.2 inches with wheelbase at 106. Width is 72.6 and height is 64.6 inches. And then now moving on to the exterior styling with this 2023 BMW X1. This has a really cool style all around, looks a lot more bold than previous years. We get BMW's LED headlights that have a blacked out design and a really nice setup for those daytime running lights. You can see some sharp lines in the front bumper and then satin aluminum trim down below. There is a functional opening to allow air to pass through the bumper, and you can see the parking sensors all within the front end. The new kidney-shaped grille design has a really cool look, being much more squared off. You can see how it's finished off in gloss black with the chrome trim, and it even features active grille shutters to improve efficiency and aerodynamics when needed. Down below that, we have more parking sensors along with some plastic trim and more active shutters for the lower portion of the grille. There's also inlets on each side to improve airflow to the radiators. And I love how much more aggressive the X1 is starting to look now for 2023. We get the BMW logo right in the center and some pretty sharp body lines going towards the windshield. Really nice looking smaller size crossover. As we make our way to the side profile, you can see one of the parking sensors along the side and a nice set of 18-inch wheels. They're finished in a two-tone color with the BMW badge right in the center, and they even have somewhat of a pentagon shape to the 5-spoke design. You can see the plastic black trim making its way around the front and rear fender arches along with the lower side skirt. And then we get a nice body line in the lower portion of the doors, as well as a sharp line cutting through the side profile. You can see these flush mounted body color door handles have a really modern design, and you also get body color on the side mirrors with an integrated LED turn signal and then gloss black trim around them. There's a little bit of chrome trim around the windows with gloss black in the center, and then more silver accents up on top for these roof rails. Making our way to the side profile has a really good proportion. It looks like an X3 or an X5. I like all the additions to more of the sharp lines comparing it to previous generations. And then as you make your way to the rear end, you can see the body color antenna up top with a pretty large integrated spoiler. Then there's all gloss black trim surrounding the window, and I love the taillights. Very sharp looking, sunken in a little bit to the bodywork, and they are pretty three-dimensional, finished off in red and black. You can see the BMW logo with your standard backup camera. X1 badge is on the left with a sharp body line cutting its way over to the xDrive 28i badge. You can see more sharp lines in the lower portion of the bumper, all of your parking sensors, a matching silver trim piece, then the black in the lower portion. I'm loving the way the X1 is starting to look. You can see just how much wider it looks. Definitely looking very nice. So there's a good look at the new 2023 BMW X1. Comment below, what do you guys think of the new design for this small SUV? I think it looks a lot bigger than it is, and it's really starting to add some muscle to the design. We have the new BMW key fob, very sleek looking. The BMW logo is still our lock button. Keeping the key fob in my pocket, all I have to do is grab the door handle, and just by lifting it up, we can check out this new interior. This particular spec gets the black perforated sensatec interior. You're going to see a little bit of silver accents all throughout it. You can see all the black along the door panel with some contrast stitching. Really cool silver design piece for this grab handle. Then your release handles up above that, very sleek. Lock and unlock with memory seating. Then all of your window and mirror controls and a padded armrest. We get a little bit of storage as well as the power liftgate. And then a really funky looking design for the mesh around the speaker. We get power controls on the left side of the seat. And then you can see the smooth leather along with this nice perforated design with a really cool stitching. It makes its way all the way up these backrests, has a nice modern appearance to it. Then you can see a black leather steering wheel with silver trim. And then now inside the BMW X1, keeping my foot on the brake, we can go ahead and fire it up. We get that all new massive screen, has a very modern appearance. Taking a look at the center part of the gauge cluster now, we get your speedometer on the left, along with the tachover on the right side. And then you can configure this quite a lot now using the buttons on the right side. We have a scroller dial, left and right, as well as a settings icon. If I go ahead and tap that settings icon, you can scroll through this left side to see what you want to be your content in the center. We have all sorts of things that will come up, like navigation. We also have a few more things that will pop up to make it a little bit more different. And then if you go to the right, you can change the layout now. There's a few different ways it can look. So I really like how BMW is stepping it up with some pretty nice configurability. You can take a look at the steering wheel now. We have cruise control settings on the left, then a little bit more Bluetooth and audio on the right side. We have controls on the right for the windshield wipers, and then the turn signal stalk to the left. And then all of your headlight controls are on the far left side with the automatic. And then you can see a little bit of ambient lighting as well as an air vent. And then just a smooth texture material running across the dashboard. You can also see a silver trim piece on the far right side with 2 air vents for the passenger. And then right in the center, pretty unique, this is actually the driver's air vent. Really neat the way it's designed. It almost looks like there's just one in the center. And then the right portion of the screen, really nice graphics on it. You can swipe over, see all sorts of different information that will come up. You can see everything going into the full screen now for the navigation. You have our home icon as well. Different apps, shortcuts will pop up on the left side as well. You can scroll through, see all sorts of different settings. Of course, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. So I really like the new function of the screen. Going over into this one, you can see a few things about the vehicle. Then if I go ahead and put the car into reverse, our backup camera will pop up on the left with parking sensors to the right side. You can see a few different things on this left area. You have the assisted view for parking, panoramic view. You have all your settings as well that will pop up. And then just pressing this button right here is back into park. On the lower portion of the screen, this is where the climate comes up. So you can see tapping that, we have our fan speed right in the center. And then this one right here, you can scroll up and down for a different way the airflow is going to come out. You can easily adjust your temperature for the dual zone, and then a few controls on the top as well as the left side. Underneath that, we have a really nice texture design right here for some storage and cup holders, some USB ports, and then a ton more storage space all underneath. Moving to the center, you have your volume control right here. You can roll that up and down, left and right, auto hold. Tapping this button right here, it'll come up with some drivetrain settings. Very nice the way you have your hill assist, lane departure, drive off support, as well as the sounds. Then we have the My Modes. If we tap this, it'll come up with our different drive modes. Really cool depiction, and you can just tap that to go into each mode. You can see how it also will change up what you get in that center gauge cluster. So it's a pretty cool way, the way everything is a little bit different. So pretty nice the way the new screen's working. We have a pretty large armrest. You just press this button right over here, and this opens up, and you can see we have quite a lot of storage space in here. On the far right side, we of course have our glove box, pretty normal bucket, as you would expect. And then one last look at the new interior. Very minimalistic, however it's pretty sporty, has a nice modern vibe to it. So BMW is certainly stepping it up. Up top, we get all your dome lights and then your mirror. And then now moving to the rear seat space, I can just grab the door handle and open it up. The door panel is finished off just like the front was, and we even get all the same stitching and that pretty cool pattern in back. This can seat 3 people. In the middle row, you can even pull this down. We get a nice armrest as well as 2 cup holders. And then all the headrests even fold backwards for better driver visibility. There is some storage on the back side of the front seats, and you even get climate control vents, USBs, and some storage. All right, climbing in the backseat of the BMW X1. This is surprisingly larger than I was expecting. So I'm 5'11", and I have a couple inches of headroom, and even with the driver's seat set at my height, I have some footroom and knee room as well. You have dome lights up top, LED, grab handle as well, and a pretty decent comfort level. The seats do recline, and at their full back position, it's really nice and comfortable. So I like how with a smaller car, you get that configurability to this. Pretty large windows, and even these back windows are really large right there. So honestly, pretty comfortable. 3 people my size could honestly fit back here pretty well. So definitely a pretty usable car. And then moving on to the storage space, I can just tap the button underneath the BMW logo, and the power liftgate is gonna automatically open up. We of course have the button on the key fob or the interior, and you get a pretty squared off cargo area. plenty of room in here with a little cubby over on the right side and a pretty nice cargo area on the left. You can even grab this up, you get a nice spare tire with extra storage area. And with the cargo cover removed, as well as the 3 center seats folded down, you can see just how much more cargo area you're gonna get in this X1. It's actually pretty practical. Definitely feels much larger than it is, and honestly does have a lot of interior space. All 3 of these seats are independent, which is pretty neat, to where you can really customize how you'd like everything to be. But overall, X1 seems to be a pretty practical, small size crossover. Just tapping that button, we can automatically close it up now. All right guys, we are setting off now in this new BMW X1. So far this seems like a pretty sporty, little peppy crossover. It feels decent in quality too. It doesn't just feel like a cheap small BMW. It actually feels like, you know, it's a nicely weighted vehicle. Going over bumps and everything, it feels pretty composed. Really good view out of the windshield, as you can see. Really good visibility. Over your right and left shoulder, honestly, there's so much glass in here. It's a really easy small SUV to just drive around and pinpoint. And I just like how it feels very small and compact, and yet it's pretty spacious and roomy. With the turbo engine, it packs a nice little punch. Let's go into the sport mode. It's really fun playing with the different drive modes, especially how all the screens change. But just getting up to some speed, it's peppy. Wow. Oh, wow. That is impressive from this little engine. It is a peppy little car. I am liking that a lot. And as far as like road quality, ride quality, stuff like that, it's pretty quiet and insulated. You don't really hear too much noise outside of just kind of the basics, but it's a pretty comfortable vehicle to be in. Seats have pretty good positions. You can get them into a comfortable spot with all the power controls. And it is a pretty nicely packaged car. I kind of like that aspect. This screen is pretty funky looking. Kind of gives you just that fun vibe for, you know, a more entry-level, affordable BMW. So I like how they've done that with this car. Down to efficient mode, this is the most conservative driving mode. Car tones down a little bit, nice and quiet, a little bit better throttle response for just ease of driving. But I like how the drive modes actually make it kind of wake up a little bit, be more fun and darty around town, and then you can tone it down to get even better gas mileage. But it really does feel like a nice, solid, comfortable car at a pretty good price. All right, so now to my perspective, what is it like in the X1? I'm surprised. Honestly, if I drove a 2023 X2, that one seems like that's the cheap, the basic, small crossover from BMW. The X1 definitely feels like a much nicer vehicle for honestly the same money. So personally, I think they're doing a good job, and hopefully the newest X2 can kind of take some of what they're doing with this car and make it a little bit nicer, a little bit more up to date. But I feel like this X1 has the modern feeling to it, especially with this crazy screen, the funky geometric shapes and things like that. It feels a lot cooler and just makes it feel a little bit more up to date and what you would expect in a crossover from BMW, of course. Drive modes are nice to play with. You know, I like how you can customize them, and just the screen depictions really do wake it up a little bit. But yeah, not a bad crossover to get. It seems pretty spacious in here as well. It's really surprising how much room you get in the back, and all 3 seats independently will recline. And then the suspension really does feel good. On these bumps right now, this isn't the best road, and it absorbs them really well. It's pretty insulated. It really does feel like a step up, and it makes you feel like you're in a real BMW, not just a cheap car with their logos on it. It feels like a pretty nice crossover to be in. Let's go ahead and do another acceleration. The motor's pretty surprising. You know, BMW, they just don't make slow cars, even their smallest engines. I mean, the turbo 4-cylinder is a really good motor, and when you just give it some gas, it gets nicely up to speed, peppy. And you can hear a little bit of the turbo. I mean, this thing is a great like city crossover. Maybe you're a young family or just one person, maybe 2 people. This is gonna be a really good crossover to just like dart around wherever you live, run errands and stuff like that, do the day-to-day grocery shopping. This really seems like a pretty well versatile crossover for not breaking the bank. It's below the average price of a new car, so honestly, the average person could easily afford this car. and it seems like you do get quite a lot. It'd be exciting to see. There's some M Sport versions coming. Of course, we'll see those later on as they arrive to dealers. It seems like BMW is heading in the right direction for these smaller crossovers. I'm a big fan of the X3 and the X5. I think those are solid, and the X7, of course, if you need that third row. But you know, the X1 is a good way to go to save some money if you don't need crazy towing or crazy performance or anything like that. It feels like you still get a luxury BMW, but it has a little bit more of that fun, sporty side to where you can just kind of dart it around, drive it around. Pretty economical choice, and feels pretty good in quality. The leather, this is all fake leather, of course. I wouldn't mind it being a little bit nicer, but you know, it's kind of what you would expect, I would say, and pretty similar to other cars at this same price point across the spectrum. So not bad, definitely a good option from BMW. That is it then for today's video, checking out this all-new 2023 BMW X1. Big shout out and thank you once again to Hendrick BMW Northlake for providing this new X1 for today's video. Check out their website linked below. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for plenty more content. We'll see you all in the next video.